Today doesn't happen to me on a not on a regular basis, but ever. Today is the most shocking exposition of what that I can remember ever. And one of the reasons why I'm running a little late is what? And I had to push this. Wait a minute, what? Stop the presses. Stop the presses. Sometimes we in the biz love, not me, not you, not any of our friends, but sometimes people love to make everything sound like this is the most incredible news, the most incredible breaking news. Breaking news doesn't even mean anything anymore. It's an expression. It's trite. It doesn't, it's silly. It's like, extra, read all about it. It doesn't mean anything. Very rarely does this. What? Wait, what? Every story has that. Today is a what? I would give it a WTF, but it's even beyond that. This is a beyond that. I have been following this, as you know, as anybody knows, the Tyler prosecution, but also the Charlie Kirk investigation, as have you. And a lot of people, as great and as well-intended as I think they are, sometimes they would love minutia just for the sense of minutia. I'm just saying, sometimes there will be something, wait a minute, he said he used his left hand versus his right hand. Well, he's not left-handed. Okay. Sometimes that applies too, because there were pictures in the old days, if you remember, of bin Laden shooting a rifle, but he's left-handed, and okay, so sometimes it matters. Sometimes there's a piece of evidence, something where you think, wait a minute, what? Like in the JFK assassination, when you had a round that was located or found or alleged to go through the windshield or the windscreen, if you're from elsewhere, that completely establishes a conspiracy because Lee Harvey Oswald can't do this. What I saw today and what the incredible work of, let me just tell you something. There isn't a day that goes by when I say to myself, and I'm sure you join me, thank God for Candace and thank God for Baron Coleman. I just would not have any time on my hand to be able to sift through this ocean of facts that have been deliberately, specifically, and intentionally overlooked, ignored by not only the prosecution, but I think the defense, I hope not, and certainly not by any of these idiots, these useful idiots finding themselves inadvertently or deliberately supporting a conspiracy by virtue of their own stupidity. So get ready, my friends. Get ready. This is the one you're going to want to save. Not only that. I'm not in astrology. I mean, I was born under the sign of feces. Maybe that tells you something. But something is up today, cosmically. I don't know what, but in other areas, which you know nothing about, I'm not going to bore you. I'm seeing this. I feel as though I took my first blast, my first hit of some kind of drug or hallucinogenic or something, and my mind's eye, you can make your pineal reference here, whatever it is, just opened. And I swear to you, I know you think I'm exaggerating. It's like everything was like, holy. Today is that day. Buckle up, get ready. But first, everybody's talking about AI, a smarter future, a faster future, everything connected, everything in the cloud. Well, what happens? What happens when it breaks? What happens when the system holding your money gets hacked or artificial intelligence becomes sophisticated enough to identify patterns and exploit weaknesses and target the accounts you trusted with your financial future. Think about it. How much of what you own exists only as numbers on the screen? That's why so many Americans are choosing something real, physical gold, physical silver, assets you can actually hold. Click the special link below to learn how Noble Gold can deliver precious metals to your door or place them in a tax-advantaged retirement account. And to celebrate America's 250th birthday, viewers who use my link and open a new qualified account will receive a free 10-ounce silver bar. In an increasingly digital world, own something real. Protect what you've earned. Click the special link below now. Now, let me see if I can bring you up to speed on this thing. This is really something. This is, again, I'm not one to sit there and make, oh, a big deal about this. You know, and I know. And I think we know a lot of things, but we don't understand what is it that so many people have against getting to the bottom of what happened. Forget who killed, forget what, the forces over, but what happened regarding Charlie. Just what happened. Is anybody interested in this? No. You've got people, as you know, left and right, who are just, and I don't know what the story is. I don't know what the story is, but they live in a world where they spend every single day telling you to shut up. That's it. They tell you every single day to shut up. And I'm wondering, why are you doing this? Just shut up. I've spent too much time trying to figure this one out, and it doesn't matter. Question number one, was Charlie ever autopsied? Question number one, was Charlie autopsied? Was Charlie autopsied? The other day, Candace wrote something, I should say. Well, what's that something? And I thought to myself, nah. She goes, you think they cremated him? I said, no. I didn't even give it enough thought. I thought, and then the other day I'm saying, well, where's he buried? Nah. Because I always think that in the world, I always think, sometimes there are things that are so obvious you can't keep a people from knowing this. You can't allow people to actually be treated this poorly, this shabbily, this crazily, this negligently, right? I think, and then reality comes in and kicks my arse, as it were, because I can't believe what I'm seeing. So let me ask you this question. Let me start with this. Very, very simple, because you are far more adept at this than I am. Very simply this. Was there an autopsy? Was there an autopsy? And by the way, whenever you say, well, he was cremated, why? Well, because no. Don't say things. I love you, but don't say things. Oh, no, that's just don't answer it with what would make a great storyline, or that would be a kick in the teeth. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Ask yourself, if you say something, if you say, well, it's because I know of such and such, or I know this, or the reason for it is this, or somebody said this, not that I feel, these people are so, no. I don't do that. I don't sit there and say, probably Erica might be involved. No, there's no evidence that she's involved. You might say, I think we should follow through with this. There's probable cause and then there's reasonable doubt, and maybe we should look for this. So don't ever don't ever say, don't be at all embarrassed to say, there's no evidence. I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me, if I wouldn't know, but something like that. But sometimes people say, no, he was not, or yes, he was cremated. Well, how do you know that? Well, I don't know that, but knowing these people, and so just always ask yourself that question. How do I know what I know? When I say something, when I say, yes, he was involved, yes, this was this, yes, it was Russia or whatever your theory is. Ask yourself, how do I know these things? This is an epistemological view. I don't want to get too deep in this, but you have to understand, how do you know what you know? The old expression, just, when you hear hoofbeats behind you, don't think zebra. Don't complicate it. This isn't Occam's razor or any of the other kind of nonsense, okay? There we go. So do we know, is there an autopsy? Where has the defense been? I would love to go, whoever this Nestor of this office is, excuse me, do you know that you, madam, have the world looking over your shoulder, the world that could be involved in this right now, helping you, giving you information, tips, data, witnesses, and you're nowhere to be found. They're not even sure who your name is. You will quibble, squabble, and just prattle on about the most minute information and data as to, I don't know, this arcane referencing. So I don't know. Let me show you this. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to deliberately, that sounds crazy, to tease this. I hate that teasing business. But I want you to watch this. This one got me today. This may be old news to you. This may be something you already knew, but I didn't know this.
You guys remember there was a police scanner that questioned whether or not there would be an autopsy at all? You remember this?
Wait a minute. Did you hear this? I'm sorry. I am never, ever going to presume that I know all of the facts. And some of you great, wonderful people will say, did you watch Barron today? I didn't watch Barron today. Did you know Barron's on now? I know Barron's on now. I know that. I can't. So forgive me. Did you remember this? Did you see this? Listen to this. I cannot, by the way, I'm trying to amplify this. I love how people direct me. Amplify this. Show me this. Direction. Hold it. This is what I've got. Let me see what I've got here.
It's right here, this police scanner audio.
So I did do the request. They emailed me back. He did not go in for an autopsy. The death certificate was signed by the doctor at the hospital.
They did not, quote, go after an autopsy. They signed. Now, we're gonna spend some time with this one. It's like, oh, no. Okay. Did you understand this? Let's watch this again.
Do the request. They emailed me back. He did not go in for an autopsy. The death certificate was signed by the doctor at the hospital.
Oh, okay. Can you just do a field clip documenting that?
I'm sorry, 10-9?
Can you just add a step to the case documenting that there was no autopsy?
Yeah, 287, I'll be clear to the hospital.
I need an officer at Timpanogos Hospital to come stage in the emergency room bay.
Jesse just told me that he just got on the phone and Charlie's wife is coming to signature and they're bringing a car over here for a treatment.
Charlie's wife is coming to land at signature, you said?
Sir, and Jesse's going to go to Duncan right now and pick up a car for her.
Okay, I'm a little confused because that's what Corey just said. They said they're landing at Duncan, so I don't know where they're landing, but we will just kind of play it by ear, I guess, best that we can.
I don't think that cop made that up. I don't think cops just make stuff up.
True.
And then shoot it out over police radio.
Yep.
But I'm old school. Let's do a little lawyering, shall we? Everybody says we just make stuff up. No, let's just look at the law. If the investigation by the medical examiner's office concludes that it was by gunshot, then the medical examiner shall assume jurisdiction.
Shall versus will. In statutory construction, shall means you must. You have no say. You must. Will is a little tenuous, but under statutory construction, the rules of how to read a statute, shall carries a lot of weight.
Shot. then the medical examiner shall assume jurisdiction, meaning who had jurisdiction over Charlie Kirk's body? They were told it was a gunshot. Therefore, the medical examiner has jurisdiction. Does the jurisdiction mean they have to do an autopsy? If, in the opinion of the medical examiner, an autopsy should be performed, or that's option A. But let's say the medical examiner says, well, we don't need to do an autopsy here. We shouldn't do an autopsy. It's pretty obvious he died from a gunshot. Let's just call it a day. Okay, that's option A. Option B, if an autopsy is requested by the district attorney, county attorney, or the attorney general. So let's say that none of these apply.
Mm-hmm. Good.
That the medical examiner doesn't give a rip, doesn't care, consults with the district attorney or county attorney. I think that's his name's Gray. Or consults with the attorney general, like, should we do an autopsy? And they're like, I don't think so. I mean, pretty obvious he died from a gunshot. They're trying to get him back pretty quickly. Just send him on. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? No autopsy. So the way I read the law in Utah is it is not required. Not required to have an autopsy. All I can tell you is the defense got autopsy photos that were dated September 10th. We didn't see his body leave until 8 p.m. We were told he went to the medical examiner. There's no news organization that saw him go there. There's no news organization that said, I was there. I saw Charlie Kirk's body wheeled into the medical examiner's office. Not one.
Let's back up. First, can you believe this? Can you, do you find yourself thinking, where the hell was I? Wait a minute. What? You mean what? Wait. What? Wait. You mean, no. You're talking about everything about 4K style videos and whether the exhaust of the charger and the charge and whether he changed it, and what about the screwdriver and was he on Discord by himself, or did Lancelot have it? What? Wait a minute. Well, what? Now, let's also stop for a second and go through some facts, which are very, 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 very critical. Very, very critical. Because you guys say, wait a minute. Number one, autopsy to determine the cause of death. And this is important. What is the definition of an autopsy for forensic purposes, legal purposes, for criminal investigation? Is it to find the cause of death, the type of death, or is it to gather evidence that might be in the body? See, this is what's important. This is what's important. If you're talking about autopsy to determine cause of death, that's one thing. Because remember, the four, as I'm always telling you, there are four, in essence, types of death. And then the acronym is NASH. NASH. Natural, accidental, suicide, homicide. Actually, it's undetermined, which is NASHU, which I don't really talk about. A forensic or and they call this a medico-legal autopsy, is defined as the systematic examination of a body performed, listen to this, that is performed by for legal purposes in a sudden, violent, suspicious, or unexplained death. This is usual. Now remember, statutory construction, each state can verify or can change it. Its purpose is all of the above, kind of not merely one. You want to figure the cause of death, the specific injury or the disease or the pathology that produced death, such as gunshot, blunt force trauma, poisoning, heart disease, accident, fall, whatever. Second, the manner of death, the legal medical classification of how death occurred. Usually homicide, suicide, NASH. This is the manner. So there's cause of death, the manner of death, the mechanism of death. This is the physiological process by which the cause produced death. Blood test, brain injury, respiratory failure, something like that. Then you look at evidence collection. This is what we're talking about. Not so much the cause of death, but the evidence collection. Recovering, documenting, preserving anything on or inside the body that may matter, that may affect in criminal investigation. Now, this can include bullets, bullet fragments, shotgun pellets, fibers, hairs, DNA, foreign material, trace evidence, fingernail scrapings, clothing, toxicology, samples, hair, evidence, you name it. Because once that body goes bye-bye, that's it. Everything, finger, color, you name it. Then there's reconstruction, determining the number, the location, the direction of wounds, possible range of fire, the path of a projectile. It is really something. And let me just say something on a kind of a more of a political note. Do you know the number of places in the United States where they don't have medical examiners? They've got things like coroners and undertakers and some Pop Larson with the funeral home. It is, you presume like, well, there's a medical examiner. No, in some cases there's not. There's some guy who said, yep, that's it. All right. Yep, that's it. I mean, this is an area that no doctor goes into. You don't spend you know how many years it takes to go through this to get your medical? You got student loans, and you're going to end up being some medical examiner for some county? It takes when you could be doing, liposuction and making a fortune. Very few people want to go into this area. Michael Baden, one of the few greats, but this is what it is. So let me just tell you something. This is a national horror. This is critical. But let me proceed, because I'm telling you, I don't know where everybody's been, but anyway, the body itself, the body is considered forensic evidence. Therefore, when a projectile or a bullet or a fragment remains inside the body, retrieving it, preserving it, can be a central function of the autopsy, particularly when investigations need to be compared with an alleged weapon or whatever. So the definition of what we're really talking about, because when we talk about autopsy, we don't really mean not autopsy to find out cause of death, because a lot of these yokels say, well, we know why you died. That's not what we're talking about. A forensic autopsy determines who died, how, why the person died, and collects bodily evidence needed by courts, by law, to investigate, and maybe perhaps needed by the defense to develop a defense. It's not just for the purposes of collecting this. This goes through this. Now remember the word autopsy. I'm seeing the name autopsy used a lot. Autopsy. What type of autopsy do you mean? If it's cause of death, I'm talking all of the above. Evidence collection. And a lot of times the statute will say that these folks did absolutely, positively everything perfectly. Medical science is something that we recognize that there is no, it's an art. It's an art. It's one of these things that we recognize. Now, let me explain something. There's this piece here. And there's some great stuff. There's a fellow named Travis who does something. There's so much. If you're not on X, if you're not on X and you do not have in your rotation, which X will recognize, it will say, oh, you're going here a lot, or oh, you're this is where you're looking, or if you don't go on, if you don't have X, you are informationally negligent. Okay. Under Utah law, Charlie Kirk was not required to undergo an autopsy. Remember, again, I don't want to do the air quotes, but autopsy is not causing that. Moreover, recorded police scanner audio reveals that an officer explicitly stated that he did not receive one. Is this true? Scanner transcript shows, quote, this is a quote, he did not go in for an autopsy. The death certificate was signed by the doctor at the hospital. Quote, he did not go in for an autopsy. The death certificate was signed by the doctor at the hospital. Utah Code 26B, Chapter 8, makes that possible. The medical examiner shall assume jurisdiction, this is what Barron has said, over deaths by violence or gunshot, shall assume jurisdiction, shall assume. That's number one. You've got jurisdiction. An autopsy shall, remember, statutory construction, the way statutes are construed, statutory construction. If in the opinion of the medical examiner, an autopsy shall be performed, or if an autopsy is requested by the district attorney or county attorney having criminal jurisdiction, or by the attorney general. An autopsy shall be performed only if, in the opinion of the medical examiner, an autopsy should be performed, or if an autopsy is requested, not ordered, but requested by the district attorney, blah, 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 blah. When you read a statute, and this is one of those things where if you want to be a lawyer, you have to understand this. Statutory construction. The word construction is from the word construe, the way we construe something, how you read something. There are treatises, books, volumes on how to read a statute. And there is a phrase that is axiomatic, essential. Expressio unius est exclusio alterius. The expression of one is the exclusion of another. When they say 55 miles an hour, they don't mean 56. They don't mean 54. When they say to enter at night, they don't mean daytime. When they say dwelling, they mean dwelling. They don't mean conveyance. They don't mean a car. When they say something, they mean it. And this is something where I always tell you, if you get a speeding ticket, you make sure you read every single line, sentence, comma. And does this refer to this? Does this, we had a case one time throwing out thousands, seemingly maybe hundreds, of trespass warnings after a Super Bowl because they construed Tampa Stadium as a structure. All the police said, you're charged with trespass on a structure because they were drunk and they wouldn't leave. You think Tampa Stadium's a structure? Yeah. Well, not necessarily. Under Florida law, a structure is a building, permanent or impermanent, that has a roof on it. There's no roof on it. It's open. What about that's a ceiling? Anyway, so what I'm saying is these words mean something. So did the medical examiner have an opinion? He didn't want it. Was the autopsy ordered, or requested by the DA, by the county attorney having criminal jurisdiction, or by the attorney general? No. So here's where it gets really interesting. Charlie's motorcade departed from Timpanogos Regional Hospital around 8 p.m. on September the 10th. 8 p.m. It left at 8 p.m., transported the deceased body to the Utah office of the medical examiner in Taylorsville, all right, to the office of, okay, no. A little background. I don't mean to stop and start. When you are dead, you cease to exist, metaphysically, actually, spiritually, but now you have the remains. And your body, the remains, oftentimes belong to the wife, to the spouse, to your family. And what they want to do with the remains is very interesting. Not to belabor the point, but just to give you an idea. Bodily fluids. If, and I do not want to get too graphic here, but it has been done, has been known. There is a means of extracting semen from a deceased. And Erica would have had the rights in a lot of jurisdictions. I'm assuming Utah's like everybody else, but maybe not. Where she could have used this. There's a device that is inserted and through mild electrical stimulation can produce a sample of semen from the deceased. It's been, and a lot of times it's done when people they're brain dead or they're paralyzed and they wanted children, but the wife owns that body. You want transplant, you want corneas, you want skin, take it. Cremation, take it. It's not, there's no more Charlie. He's just clothes, skin, bone, nothing. So we talk about the remains there. And it sounds weird. I want you to understand this. You may not have thought about this, but Charlie does not exist anymore. There is no more Charlie. There's just this thing. It's like his shoes are the same as his body. I mean, it's evidence of maybe he lived, but that's it. So these little things, which people sometimes never really thought about, are absolutely important. Also, you get into weird things like probate. Probate's the only thing that kicks in once you're dead. Everything else dies. Criminal activity, libel suits, defamation, personal injury, dies. It's over with. It's done. Now, probate kicks in only when you're dead. It's the only thing that works backwards. It's this weird kind of thing. Also, throwing in just for as a matter of trivia, title insurance is the only thing that insures you for stuff that happened before. It's weird. So you have the present, and then you got the future, and you got the past, and then you got what about this? And it is so complicated. While you were doing your life, raising kids and doing stuff, there have been people since the beginning of time, people you never thought of, who have looked at every aspect of the human experience and passed laws regarding it and have thought of every contingency. There have been people who have been studying this forever. And like when somebody watches some law school or something on TV, remember when the paper chase was on? That was the worst. Everybody was. And now the internet lawyers, they figure, I just know what I'm talking about this. Believe me, more thought has been put into this than you can imagine. Okay. Sorry for that little bit of a desultory elliptical reference, but I will continue. Okay. So let's go back in this. Charlie's motorcade departed from the Timpanogos, notice the Cuban accent, regional hospital around 8 p.m. on September the 10th, the day he was shot. They were going to transport his remains to the Utah office of the medical examiner in Taylorsville. The search warrant affidavit states that an autopsy was conducted on the body the same day with Sergeant Barrett present. A standard forensic autopsy examination, internal examination, organ weighing, documentation, and sample collection is a multi-hour process. Plus, you got to wait. You got to get the results. You got to wait till we get the results. If we get that, no, that is okay. Stop. Let's do it again. Are we going to close this thing up? Are we done? You have to wait till all this stuff is in, because once that body goes, it's done. Okay. So starting well after 8 p.m. and still producing a completed certifiable result on the same calendar day creates an incredibly tight window to achieve that. Very, very. And I mean, the slightest, you know how sometimes they say the DNA samples will take a week. The autopsy results, there's no hurry. And if something tells me, I think the likelihood of there being this incredible celerity that was occurred, or that was experienced by the Utah office, I mean, speed is one thing. So further, during cross-examination at the preliminary hearing, this investigator, David Hull, who presented the summary, confirmed that he was not present at the examination and only had knowledge of its contents from a meeting with medical examiner and the written report. So where is the medical examiner who allegedly performed the autopsy? In March of 2026, Guajardo, notice how I say that, Guajardo, relocated from Utah to Dutchess County, New York, where he was appointed as the medical examiner, okay? As a result of his relocation, he is no longer affiliated with the Utah Office of the Medical Examiner and is geographically and jurisdictionally removed from the case. Theoretically, because he is somebody who has relevant information. You don't sit there, I'm sorry, I don't live in Utah anymore. I live in Texas. So I can't answer your subpoena. Nice try, Bucky. Nice try. No. You don't. So what about Sergeant Barrett, the officer who allegedly, and by the way, I just want you to say, no, he is completely, do not tell me that just because he is, and also it doesn't look good for you in a new position as a medical examiner of Dutchess County in New York, for all of a sudden you to sit there and say, oh, I'm not going to help. You don't think you want to be a part? You don't want to be the doctor. What was his name? Was it not Fukuyama, Yamaguchi, or whatever you remember you don't want to be the Michael Baden, the Tabas Noguchi. That's it. Fukuyama. But these famous people, the Quincy, you don't want to be a part of it? No. Really? You don't want to lend your expertise as to at least say something? No. That must make the New York folks like, are we sure we got the right guy here? What the hell's going on here? What the hell's going on? Your cases are never, in Utah, there's no famous autopsy cases. People love prominence. They love to be like, oh, I was the one there. I don't know if you want to be associated with this by virtue of the patent negligence. So in any publicly available court filing or official disclosure, no full first name, badge number, or other identifying information for this Sergeant Barrett has been released. You hear that? A Sergeant Barrett. Maybe. Who is he? I don't know. The prosecutor's entire account of the postmortem examination rests on two individuals who have never testified under oath about it, ostensibly. One has left the state and taken a new position in New York. The other remains unidentified beyond the last name on a single affidavit. And something tells me it'd be very easy to find out. Excuse me, you have a guy named Barrett? Like, there's so many people in Utah. I mean, the legions of law enforcement agents. I mean, my God, it must be tens of thousands of them. No. The only testimony introduced at the preliminary hearing at this point was hearsay, from an investigator who was not present. Let me stop right there. Listen to me and listen good. Please never use the word hearsay. Most of the time, it is not hearsay because there is an exception to it. Medical records, official statements, there's all kinds of exceptions to the hearsay rule. I know it seems like hearsay seems to be like something that somebody said someplace else. Okay, it doesn't work that way. Let's go through this. Very, very important. Very, very critical. Here we are. That's not it. Okay, here we go. So the only testimony introduced at the preliminary hearing was hearsay from an investigator. This leaves no firsthand testifying witness available to describe under cross-examination what exactly occurred to the body. Was he cremated after No autopsy was performed. How could they perform an autopsy? We don't know. We don't know. Now, let me just say something here. This is part one of this realm. This is part one. This is part one. I think most of us know, and most of us can tell, that most probably the cause of death, the actual mechanism of death, that which occurred, was whatever this is. This and the bleeding and the exsanguination and the hemorrhaging and the blood, that was the cause of death. Charlie's here 1 minute, boom, dead. That was it. That thing, it was Charlie sat there and all of a sudden he went like this and keeled over. No. Or Charlie died in his sleep. Or no. So to be fair, you don't need to be Quincy. You don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to figure out that was it. That's not it. It's the evidence collection. It's the ability to say, no, wait a minute, what's going on here? And to take pictures. Now, this could all be moot. They could sit there and say, no, we got pictures of it. No, we didn't do an autopsy per se, but we've got this. We looked at the gunshot wound. Because as you know, they said fragments. Remember this? They said that the rifle was inconclusive with the fragments, the metal, whatever it was that was located in the neck, the neck, whatever. That's a different story. So you see what I'm saying? Somebody can walk in and there's nothing worse than you build up this big case and you say, oh no, excuse me. Hi, my name is Officer Barrett. Are you looking for me? What? Yeah. We got the evidence. We didn't do an evidence in terms of finding out, well, what was it? Was Charlie? We don't need to do tox screens. Charlie wasn't under the influence of any. I guess maybe you want me to check his blood to see whether he was drunk at the time. We didn't do that. We didn't look at his blood to see whether he was under the influence of any kind of narcotics at the time. That wasn't that. We've got it here. So somebody somewhere will tell you we've got, in order for them to say, yep, listen, they could have slipped something in there and say, yep, there it is. Look, there's 30-06. This is it. Look at the grooves. Hey, it's, if they can produce the weapon, they can fire it, get a sample of the pattern and put that in. No, they could have done a lot of things, but they didn't. They didn't, thankfully. So this is very, very, very multi-layered. But what it is it goes to show you the level of disconnect they need us. Now, let me explain this again. If I represented, because always think about this, if I represented or if anybody, let's say the medical examiners contacted me, and there's a huge civil suit, and somebody's claiming that they were negligent from a governmental point of view, then I would be able to say, well, here's why. Here's what happened. They did not violate the law. Is that negligence per se? That's another one too. It's another term of art. This is when you can use, if you violate a particular statute, you can use that violation as a kind of a catch-all. It does the work for you. Remember, if you're ever in an accident and you are given a ticket, do not pay it. Don't ignore it, but don't pay it. If you pay a ticket, you are admitting guilt. And in many jurisdictions, that's it. You said, I was speeding, I was reckless, I wasn't great. So that when they sue you, remember, in personal injury, there's two parts of it. Liability and damages. The liability, you just helped them because you paid the ticket. So remember, there's just because something is done doesn't mean that there was negligence. But the point that I'm saying is that, do you see where this is? There is this world out there that doesn't care. Charlie is looking down and saying, does anybody care about us? Does anybody care about me? If this was a child, if this were you, or if you were your grandparents, don't you want somebody saying, what's going on here? If there is no cover up here, then I want to be the first one to know it. But it looks to a lot of people, could it be this negligent? Could these people be that bad? Could they be really that disconnected from reality? Could be. It's incredible. And I'm looking at this, and again, this should be front and center. We should have exhausted this up to and including where are these people now? And I never, ever want to dox, to bother, to annoy, to no. But if I had an investigator, I would say, find out who this Baron is, find out where this doctor is. Who is this doctor who has removed Guajardo from where? What's going on? What is the record of, let's say, negligence? Has this happened before? Have there been inquests before? Forget the exhaust pipe. I mean, I'm not saying it's unimportant, but that we'll get to that later. That's important. That's kind of like after the fact. It's very, very important. And we want our team. But my focus, first thing is, wait a minute. Let's talk about Charlie. We'll talk about Tyler later. But we'll talk about Charlie. What's going on here? And I'm not going to refer to him as his remains. That's Charlie. What is happening here? How is this? This case stinks. This should be the focus. We should. By the way, there are many, many teams assigned to this. And by the way, again, I repeat, I reiterate, I reasseverate. And I do not in any way want to imply, suggest, or intimate that the incredible research that has been done is for naught or a waste of time. Oh, no. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is something a little bit different. I am saying that I want to find the answers to this to eliminate any suspicion that I have that maybe there is a form of negligence or deliberate, feigned negligence, pretend negligence. See what I'm saying? I want to pretend that there's no this same thing that we saw during Kennedy, missing brains. Never got to the bottom of that. You don't take the brain of a president and then it's missing, and then you go, oh well. Even Einstein's brain. Remember, they found that one. They located it. I mean, this is where we are. See, people, the bad guys get away today on X. And by the way, if you don't follow X, by the way, I'm at Lionel Media on X. You got to do this because there's so many other things. This is a huge part. I'm going to show you some other stuff, which I think is fascinating. But we're going to continue with this. But do you feel right now a sense of, wait a minute, we're finding this out now? And you can say, well, it was always there. Yes, but still, 10 months after the fact? Does Erica care about this? Let me give you an analogy, okay? Let me give you an analogy. And sometimes to the untrained eye or ear, sometimes they may say, is he going off on one of his tangents? No. It's called an analogy, a metaphor, an example, a similar subject, a by the way, something along those lines. Do you know that when you are involved in civil matters, lawsuits regarding medical malpractice in particular, not always are the parents hell-bent on making the hospital or the doctor pay. It's very common. Why? Because they will have loved that doctor. They will have been involved in this. They realize that this is old Doc Paddington. I sound like this Little House on the Prairie, but they like somebody. By the way, I missed this one. I did. Just Add Water says, well, I know when I get down, I think of you saying Franz, and it cheers me right up. Thanks for making us smile and expanding our horizons verbally. That's the nicest thing you can say. Thank you for that. Because I never want you to lose sight. I don't want you ever to be weighed down by this, where you can't negotiate life because there's a lot of this that is just, frankly, it's funny, not because it's not important. It's funny because it's absurd, but thank you. So anyway, sometimes doctors will make errors and you want to say, listen, you may have a claim against this hospital, this doctor, because what they did was they misdiagnosed, they failed to diagnose, they did a lot of stuff. And and they might say, well, you mean sue the doctor? Yeah. He's a good friend of the family. Well, he might be, but he didn't do anything criminal. But what he did was, we have some experts, because you always have to have an expert that comes along and says, within a reasonable degree of medical certainty, did they err? Did they depart from the reasonable degree of medical certainty, from the usually the commonly accepted rules of medicine? See, years ago in medical malpractice, if you were in New York, you had a higher standard. If you were in Bug Tussle or Hooterville, you had a lower standard. Sometimes emergency situations may come into place, but right now, the medical society, medical science, the standardized treatment or licensure for this is such that, the doctors who are, and not only here, but for most doctoring, you can go to different countries and they're very, 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 very good. I knew a friend of mine, by the way, who really cut his hand very severely he was in Cuba on some kind of an event, and he thought, I got to go to a Cuban hospital. These doctors were superb. I don't know where they were trained, but I mean, he's a doctor. He said, this is the most incredible stuff. I mean, they're suturing and plastic surgery. It was incredible. So sometimes people will go and be very careful of this. If you want to have certain plastic surgery done, cosmetic surgery, you want to have tummy tucks and butt lifts and lipo, you go to these cosmetic surgery tourism. Let's go to Curacao and go to the doctor for they have this hospital. Be careful, but many times they're exquisite. They do thousands of hair transplant and a lot of things. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that there is this broad swath of accepted variations of behavior that may or may not be seriously negligent, even really criminal. You're given this leeway. Medical science is an art. This is true. And you as a physician sometimes often do not order tests for things. You don't do preventative, you don't do defensive medicine. You don't make people go through CAT scans and just to double check when there's no reasonable chance of this person having a tumor. And so what I'm trying to say is, we give you a lot of sway here, but these people, you see, when you're doing criminal investigations like this, I'm going to talk to Barrett. I'm going to talk to Guajardo. I want to say, listen, doctor, I'm not. By the way, Dutchess County in New York is beautiful, really beautiful, pastoral, and anyway. But I would say, I'm not here to bust your balls about this. I'm saying, did you notice anything about it? And he said, you know what? What if Guajardo or Barrett says, yeah, it's funny. These guys showed up. Black suits? Yeah. Sunglasses? Yeah. Men in black? Yeah. How do we know? Don't know. How about if he said, it's funny because the files that I had were missing. See, we don't know if we don't ask. I cannot tell you how many times both as a defense lawyer, but also as a prosecutor, where people would say, you're going to subpoena what? I'm going to subpoena the ambulance driver. But the ambulance driver didn't do anything. He was driving. It's the person in the back. I'm going to talk to the ambulance driver. Okay. And guess what? The ambulance driver, he says, let me tell you what I saw. Because the idea was, were you there? Yeah, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. That's why I, as this lawyer for Tyler, would say, everybody listening, if you have any information, this is not violation of a gag order, go to, how Candace says tips at Candace Owens, I would have tips at whatever. I would have a website. I would say, let me know your confidentiality. We don't know who you are. Just tell me what you saw. Tell me they're the most quiet people I've ever met in their life. We live in a world right now where we are able to avail ourselves of not only the internet, but ChatGPT. And let me tell you something. ChatGPT, I had something the other day which was so, I swear to God, it was a very simple question about whether certain airline travel you get points for, or do you get whatever the question was. So I just threw it into ChatGPT. I didn't say what airlines. I didn't say when. It knew about me. It said, "Oh, you must be wondering this. Oh, this looks like Delta, or oh, that's what they do. Oh, this is your question. Make sure you." I find things out. How many times have you looked at a picture of a bruise or a cut or a bug? I went one time. My friend is he does kind of these antique shops and stuff, and he goes, "I wonder what the hell this is." I said, "Well, what is it?" And it was like it was, I don't know what it was, a belt buckle. He didn't know what it was. I took a picture of it. Just snap it. Ask, "What is this?" ChatGPT goes, "Oh, this is from the Mexican." I mean, it's incredible. So you have access to more things. What does it mean when? I don't think I should ever really suggest this, but believe it or not, I've done this. I've taken stuff that looked very complicated, some kind of boilerplate contract stuff, threw it in there and said, "Is there anything that's problematic from?" And you speak very, very. Whenever you talk about the prompt, whenever you do AI or ChatGPT, make sure the question you ask is the last. Make sure the last thing you ask is the question. Don't start with the question before. Start with it afterwards. I'm always learning new ways of these LLMs and everything. Anyway, I went through this I would have never been able to get through this. And sure enough, page 23, section, whatever, bang. I thought, wow, that's right. I missed it. So with all this stuff about data centers and water and, Elon Musk, ChatGPT in particular, and the others I'm sure are great, Claude but it is phenomenal. And you can find out more information that we have right now better than anything you've ever seen. So I've got a lawyer representing probably the defendant of the defendant. Any lawyer who walks this guy, you are the most famous person ever. If you walk Bruce Cutler, who walked Johnny Cochran, no, poor Johnny, who was the nicest man. John Gotti, of course, they found that they paid off the jury, but Bruce Cutler's name was famous for that. You know this guy Jose Baez? He walked Casey Anthony. Remember that one? Oh, in the criminal defense bar, you're famous. I mean, the company, Johnny Cochran, he walked OJ. Oh, he is famous. The nicest man in the world again. So normally lawyers want to do this. She's the most quiet person I've ever met in my life. You would know my name. Remember that dude? Remember that feller who was trying to get Diddy? If you were at a party for Diddy and you did Diddy, call 800. He did ads. Have you ever seen anything lately? Here in New York, we'll see this every now and then. It says, if you went to this doctor, this dermatologist between 1978 and 1983, Dr. Heinrich Niedermeyer, if you, and a picture of him like this, if you remember him, call me. I said, what the hell happened? Call me. Jeez, this must have cost some money. And then it'll go away. Or here in New York, they say, if you were in or near or on or around Lower Manhattan on September the 11th, call me. You may be entitled to a case for, if you were just there, because they have a lot of weird cancer cases. And a lot of my friends who are radiologists say, you don't get this kind of cancer. You don't get this thyroid on your regular situation. So anyway, but so we always see these ads. We always see these ads asking you, have you been hurt by asbestos? Have you, and now you're going to be seeing things, for example, you're going to be seeing, has your child ever been, this is what Mrs. L is involved in, not as a litigant or anything, but we're seeing this because the way how do I say this? The way the way stuff is being written is incredible. What happens is we don't know what liability is involved in or is attached to or affixed to or a part of the let's say your child is involved in some kind of chatbot. The chatbot suggests to your child harm. The chatbot directs to your child certain self-harm and ways to cover that up, and can even write the note that normally accompanies self-harm. And you say, I think I've got a claim. We're not sure under statutory regulation. Are they going to exempt the industry like they did for vaccines? We don't know. But anyway, this is going on right now. You're going to see more of this. There was a fellow who was the guy here in New York who did all of the diocese cases of all of the priests who were involved in, this is after they exempted or rather changed, they expanded the statute of limitations. Let me also tell you something. Just as a word of advice, be very careful of places that are called big. Big sometimes is great. There are some big places, if you have, for example, asbestosis or some type of cancer, you want this one. I'm not going to give you the name, but there's one firm you want because they are known and they're big. And you say, oh, okay, whatever you want. There are other places who are so big, they lose track. You're like, but you're not, okay. Yeah, we'll take care of it. And they settle. And once you get that impression, once you get that representation, like he'll settle, he'll lowball it. A lot of people do this. They will just sit back and say, okay, that's fine. Not that it's life and death. Like you could have had $1 million and they settle for 30,000. It rarely happens. But what I'm just saying is I'm throwing a lot of information at you because you'll learn a lot from me, not necessarily the subject. I give you a new word every day. By the way, did you know what? You heard this yesterday. You know how we have a murder of crows, is it a parliament of owls, a gaggle of geese, oh God, there's one for peacocks. Anyway, do you know what you call a group of jurors is a damning, D-A-M-N-I-N-G, a damning of jurors is a group of jurors. If you ever see it going to courtroom, sometimes they have that juror badge. They used to have that on, like, don't talk to me. That's a damning of jurors, that collective. All right. Going back to this. There's something so wrong here. And what it is somewhere along the line, you're going to see people in the future use this as an example to say, remember how we did it for Charlie. Throw it, whenever you have something, keep their minds off it. Distract them. Throw in the other alternative things. Throw in the other stories. Bring in the other actors. Bring in the other, have Don Jr. I'm not saying Don Jr. is involved in it, but Don Jr. and their daughter, and then have people like Posobiec and get everybody so worked up about everything else. Make them forget this is a criminal case. Understand this? Now, let me show you something which is also, just as an aside, this is kind of this is like every day I have these museum quality stories. Things where you say, hey, here's a 3-headed pigeon. Why? I never saw that before. Okay. Is it important? Well, no, not really, but still. I want to show you something which will just, and this is me. This says a lot about me. And I've thought about this. I've met a lot of people. I've lived in New York forever, and I see every kind of crazy person you can imagine. Certain things don't scare me. This one person scares me. And I don't know why. And I want to show you this. And I want you to see this. And I want you to remind you, when we get done watching this, I'm going to ask you, what was your first reaction? Just your first reaction to this, all right? Just wait. So take a deep breath. I'm going to show you this. And then after it's done, I want you to tell me what your first reaction was. You ready?
Hi, is this a good time? Well, it's definitely an interesting time because my name is Dylan Mulvaney, and the President of the United States said my name in his speech 4 times on Friday night. I couldn't respond right away because yesterday I had tickets to see Meg Stalter and O'Mary, but now I think I'd like to say a little something. Firstly, I would like to congratulate CNN's Caitlin Collins on her award and tell her that I'm incredibly honored to be compared to her in any way, and I hope that she keeps doing all the great work. Now, the president also brought up a video I did over 3 years ago, and mind you...
Okay. All right. You know who that is? That was Dylan Mulvaney from the Bud Light case. Remember that idiot? Remember the woman who she was the head of Bud Light, and she decided we're going to thought on her own be a good idea to make beer more feminine, more gay, more weird, more whatever. I mean, it was the dumbest, and they've I don't know if they've ever recovered from it. And I'll never forget the woman. I could spot her because she had a mouth, because I'm a mouth person. I've never seen anything like it. That was whoever, her mouth was put together by a committee. Didn't fit, was all wrong. It was almost like, remember Clutch Cargo years ago, where they would do this, and they would put a human mouth. Anyway, enough of that. What is that? And I must also say something, which is very, very important. This fella here,
kind of flying under the radar, keeping up a pretty low profile, just like...
I got to say something. I mean, from an aesthetic point of view, it looks like a little bit more like I wouldn't necessarily say, hey, it's a guy. So congratulations. But
doing my little musical, singing, dancing, and yet I am still his topic of conversation all these years later. And it seems to me that I might be like the...
Okay, enough of that. Now, again, this is a brand new subject. Have you ever noticed that one of the things these people go through when they change up, so to speak, nobody says, now listen, we're going to work with you on I know you're a woman now. That's fine. We're going to give you the mammoplasty, give you the breast augmentation. We're going to do some fine surgery, but we want you to do something. First, your personality. Listen, Dylan, whatever. No woman has ever acted like this. You sound like some character from like the person who used to. Do you ever go to to a library and see somebody comes in and reads, and the Thomas the Tank Engine says, "Oh no," and you're saying, no, for kids they need that exaggerated stuff. Oh, okay. Or sometimes that's what she sounds like. It's like Tinkerbell, Twinkie. I don't know what this is. It doesn't exist. That's the part. If you just toned it down, Audrey Hepburn, Julia Roberts, pick anybody you want. Nobody talks like that. Why is this manifestation of your gender confusion? Why must it always be accompanied by this? I don't know this. I want to know. This has nothing to do with anything. But there's something about it that
got away for these men. Like, I am
creepy
permanently burned into their retinas. I am microchipped into their minds. And
it's the weirdest thing in the world. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not frightened or anything. By the way, it's a free country and you can do whatever you want. And I don't really care. But since she's thrusting herself in our road, I'm going to tell you what I think. It's something so strange. Even kids will look and say, this is not right. And who was the person who said, I'm going to take a beer company known for years as being the bastion of maleness, and I'm going to put that. Okay, fine. Nothing to do with anything. Nothing to do. I want to show you this one too. I wanted to bring you up to speed. For the longest time, I have told you of a term. I've always used shadow government, SG. The bracket is shadow government. It's a very complicated story. But the shadow government, not the deep state, is what I have been telling people for years. You don't understand it. It's not the deep state. The shadow government applies not only to this, but it's almost like the world, the shadow government. And Catherine Herridge, who is one of the best, I believe I'm pronouncing her name correctly, she is one of the best reporters ever. Watch this regarding the FBI. There we go.
These records got a lot of attention. They were instant messages sent by a senior FBI official, Nikki Flores, and she talks about running a shadow government.
Now, by the way, see top right? What do you see there? RT. The best. There have been so many foreign to us groups who have been so thorough, and they are simply superb. If you want to find out what's going on here, that Fox will never cover, the MSDNC will never cover, RT. Absolutely.
Across the FBI at this point. Is there a shadow government?
Listen,
I don't know if people say I'm part of the, like wearing their shadow government t-shirts in the building where they're like, I'm part of the shadow government. But there's certainly people who believe that they are the adults in the room and they're here to make sure that, you know, the political leaders that are in charge, we can't let them do anything too crazy. You know, we're here to make sure we temper their worst
tendencies.
Thank you. I think that in effect, what you have are people who act as a shadow government, whether they know they're doing it or not.
Also in this instant message, it says that all election-related IIRs, these are intelligence reports, must come through FBI headquarters. Does this show that there was an effort to keep all of this election information on a close hold so that they could control it?
Yeah, of course. In my opinion, that's exactly what that means. If they're trying to get a handle on every single report that comes in and centrally locate it, okay, there might be some reason why you want to do that, but it sure doesn't look good. Not if you're over there also saying, hey, man, I'm part of the shadow government.
You see, this is Catherine Herridge. This is what I have been among the many, many topics. These were also because there's the white hats and the black hats. And what he's not talking about is this group of people. There's another group of people who are saying, yes, we will protect you from these groups of folks out there who are doing bad things. But there is another group of people who say, we feel that you are being presented a disservice. So we're going to let out the bad guys to let you know that and those are the white hats. Those are the white hats, the good CIA, the good FBI, the good people. And they're there who feel like you don't know this. So remember, there's different layers. Always think multiple layers. When it comes to news, Catherine Herridge is on another. She's the Babe Ruth. She's another. She's the Thelonious Monk. She's out there. So rare, we don't even recognize it. How they mistreated her. It's not even funny. RT, Al Jazeera, Al Arabiya. Sometimes there was this woman, Palki Sharma. She used to be on We on World is One News. Now she's on First Post or something. Phenomenal. Indian. For not BBC, no, but others as well. And Candace talked about this. The people who live in European worlds, the people, Russian citizens, who have lived in a world where they have people who are since 800, I think roughly the first iteration of this, you will meet some of the most cultured, polite, different people when you meet somebody And let me tell you about the Russians in particular. I'll never forget this. A guy I knew in NYPD used to work with organized crime. And there was he was explaining different things, Albanians and Italians. He said the Russians, right after the fall of 91 when they came here, they were a different everything. Many of them very, very scary because they've been at war. All of them were prior military. They had a lot of tattoos where they went. They had hierarchies. But they had a sophistication, even though you would meet some of these people. And I forget this. They played chess. They were even there. Hey, how you doing? You know, that kind of a tough guy. You know, instead of a Vinny Ugats, you know, one of those. Their version of Vlad the Borscht or whatever it is. His version would be even more, not sophisticated, but more grounded, more educated, more everything. When Russiagate came, we never had Chinagate so much, but maybe we should. I don't know. I don't buy all that. But if you want to know what's going on in Ukraine, don't go here. Listen to what RT is saying, or listen to anybody else. Anybody else for that matter. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. Listen to what they're saying, even Ukrainian stuff. Laura Loomer, have you been following it? Laura Loomer is with Zelensky. Nobody can figure this out, up to and including Zelensky. How did she get to meet with Zelensky? What's going on? Mr. President, why is Laura Loomer, who, by the way, does she hate you? I don't even know anymore. You notice how she's toning down her routine. She meets with Zelensky. How's that? How does that work? And she is saying, I made a mistake at first. Oh, look, I don't know who's paid off. I don't know. All I know is that I see people acting weird. And they act weird. I'm thinking, you know, I didn't know, but I swear, I'm not saying you were, but if you were, I wouldn't be surprised because you're acting like somebody who does. Anyway, she says there's no Nazis in Ukraine. Even Zelensky sat back and I go, Zelensky's Jewish. Yeah, right. And you're Catholic and you're like that. What? That you're a leader. You've been handed billions of dollars. You know, Zelensky's got more. Nobody knows his homes. Is he going to live in Miami? Is he going to end up in Cyprus? Is he going to live in the Emirates? Where? This guy is a billionaire. He's got a deal you can't believe. They picked this. Zelensky was not Bobolinsky. He was created by this guy Bobolinsky. Oh God, I remember. I can't believe I can't remember his name. I mean that. He was created by somebody. It was a movie. It was a show called Servant of the People, Man of the People. Kolomoisky. He created, they pulled him out, kind of like we pulled Obama out. They pulled him out. He became the guy. He did. He has as much to do with Ukraine as I do. He's Jewish. But from World War II, remember this name, Stepan, Stepan Bandera. Not Banderas, Bandera. This is a full-fledged, there are Nazis, the right sector, Azov battalion, there. I'm not using this like we use in this country, a fascist, they use that word, some right-winger. I mean hardcore, legitimate followers of Mr. Toothbrush mustache, okay? Now, she actually sat before him because this woman is so bereft of anything. She's toned it down. Her facial features are she's got a makeover. Why is she, Mr. President, are you connected with her? And if so, why? Are you nuts? Do you not see what's going on? You notice Her whole thing is I'm over here now. She's laying off Candace. Now, wait a minute. Don't be surprised. Remember, pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on here. She was on Candace all the time. Did somebody give her the message that her paymasters, I'm just saying, say, enough with that. You're counterproductive. Go over here. Here's your new assignment. Zelensky. All right. She doesn't care. Now she's meeting with him. And you imagine what they told Zelensky. Say, you're going to meet with who? Who? Be focused. Don't let me tell you what to do, but I want you to notice what's different and what's not. Notice what's in and what's not. Notice who is important and who's not. Notice these things. Pay attention. Find out who's not here anymore. Where did he go? Where did Tim Pool go? Where did remember people like DC Drano and Cat Turd and all these other people? They were really big on X. They've lost their oomph. Where is it? Where is that? You'll see the only Ben Shapiro, by the way, is only kept up because you insist upon talking about him. I don't. You do. He's done. He's finished. He's been cut through. Done. You're on your own, Ben. Whatever you do is don't look at me. There's a new group in town. I was on the phone today with a group of people, one in particular. And I said, I want you to understand something. And I can't go into detail. I'm never going to do this. But there are people who I've known a long time in the biz, friends, people I've grown up with. And 9/11, I said, see ya, I'm over here. I took off. I said, I got it. Thank you. That was my red pill moment. I said, you people are just, and I pretty much kind of went along. I thought I had I knew about Kennedy, but I never had that, a slap in the face until 9/11. So I kind of said adios. And for the longest time, I think very much within the realm of my world, I sort of veered. A lot of the people that I started with, for example, I work with, and I got really nothing bad to say about him. He's a decent guy, very lucky, very talented. Sean Hannity and we all started at the same time. Sean was the company man, 100%. I mean, he's a good broadcaster, telegenic, whatever you want to call it. Roger Ailes saw him. That's the guy I want. And Sean has not veered from this. Sean, remember the expression, pardon my French, he wouldn't say shit if he had a mouthful of it. Sean would never say, wait a minute, hold it. This isn't conservative. No, Sean is the official line. Never ever veers from it. He has had no questions, no indecision. Whenever you don't, many of you are very devout Christians, and many of you have sometimes questioned your faith, questioned your belief in God. It's normal. If you don't, you're not a human being. Sean never questioned his faith. So to make a long story short, so I went this way. They went that way. I listened more to Alex Jones, or I listened more to internet folks, and I listened to, I remember right around Richard Gage from Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. I mean, and they thought I was, and I said, mark my words. I know this is a long introduction, but I said, mark my words, I'm going to be the norm. You're going to be the fossil. Remember, I'm telling you this, and I see it, and I know it. You may not know this. You may not. I was one of the very first to do podcasting. This guy, Tom Likas, and I one time went before this group called Talkers Radio. Talkers of a convention. I talked to a room of actual radio people and explained podcasting. They didn't know they never heard the word podcasting. This is how long I've been doing this. I saw this. It's the future. I was on the first internet radio only show. All right, I'm not doing like this. No. I'm telling you, I see things. I know it. I was on the phone. I said, let me explain something to you. The Republican Party, as you know it, is dead. There are people right now that people love. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I said, listen to me, is enjoying a resurgence you can't believe. Joe Kent, Thomas Massey, hero. Loads of people. They're going to be and every group has had this. Neocons has Scoop Jackson. Other people have had theirs. They just kind of veer off. They just sort of, I said, if you remain obeisant to this group, if you don't see what's happening in the Middle East, if you don't see what's happening to the Republican Party, you're going to lose. I said, you may not understand this, but there are two groups of people that I found absolutely fascinating. Three. Polka, barbershop quartet, and square dancing. Now you're wondering, what the hell is this guy talking about? Let me explain to you. Do you know how big polka is in this country? You know how big NASCAR is? Do you know how big square dancing is? I mean, have you ever seen big square young people all over the world. You've never been to a square dancing. You've never heard of it before. Not in your enclave. And they don't know anything but it. And the best of the best is barbershop quartet, Sweet Adelines. Sweet Adelines are like the Hells Angels, the mafia. They're the number one. They are like and I'm not even sure how they work. I got involved. I don't know why. I was just following this. And then the internet opened it all up for me. There are groups of people that you can't believe. Now, when you show up to a Sweet Adelines convention, I guess they still have it, but you can say, oh my God, what is this? Is this a country? Polka? Square dancing? Hey, and they just do all this stuff. And now, it's so huge. It's so big that they think they don't care about you. They don't care about the rest of the world. That we like square dancing. We like polka. We like, this kind of stuff. We're like a barbershop quartet, and we don't give a damn. NASCAR too. NASCAR a little bit bigger, but still, we don't care. Rodeo people, everybody has their enclave. And within this particular group, they think we're it. We're going to be around forever. You'll be around forever for yourself, but you're never going to break out. You're like a cancer that is in situ, that is not metastatic. It's not spreading. It's not really cancer. That was a very long introduction for this. Fox News is the star that burned out millions of years ago, but the light's not hit us yet. You see it, and there's a group of people who still look to it like a lot of people like square dancing and barbershop quartet and polkas and all this. They love it. And we're sitting back and you're saying, I don't think polka is going to be, you don't understand how big polka is. Well, I have somebody, you don't know how big Reagan is. You don't know Fox News is the vanguard. Yes, but there is a tsunami coming. It's already here. And the tsunami doesn't give you a warning. The only thing it does is the tide goes out. You know how a tsunami works? If you're in a bathtub, I never do that, but let's say you're in a tub and you slide your butt forward kind of, you know how the water goes away and it comes back. That's what a tsunami is. You have this seismic activity, water goes out and it comes back. And you can be on a boat, and when it goes underneath you, the boat doesn't even move because there's so much space. But as the shore gets closer, this doesn't have enough room, and it'll take out a country. That is what we are. We are a tsunami. We're here. And I don't know what we are. I don't know what we're called. I don't know if it's conservative. I don't know what to call this. I don't know. But there's a lot of folks here right now and every single day, and they love this. And they are so devoted at levels you cannot believe. They are the new force, the new flare, the new wave. At this significant break, Tucker and other people are showing this. Candace has been the galvanizing. That's exactly what it is. The power of the galvanizing. So just watch what you're doing. You are a part of a revolution right now. You may not think it. You may not think it. And Tyler Robinson, remember Tyler, by the way, remember, if the ballistics fail, he's walking out of jail. I was going to use a kind of a Johnny Cochran thing. They cannot let this guy be acquitted. Do you hear what I'm saying? They cannot let this guy be acquitted. And you can't acquit a corpse. You hear what I said? Do you hear what I said? You hear what I said? It's over. Death has a way of ending things. Civil cases, defamation cases. You can't sue a dead person. I mean, you can't defame a dead person. It changes everything. In fact, when somebody dies in the case, you file what's called a suggestion of death. I love that expression. Suggestion. Yeah, we have a suggestion of bankruptcy, suggestion of death. So watch what's happening. On a very, 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 very positive, serious note, I've said this before. My beloved wife, Lynn's Warriors, is in a fight to save children, generations to come. Sounds lofty, sounds exaggerated. There is a war for the hearts, the minds, and the souls of your children. Look at me. If you think I'm kidding, if you think this is exaggerating, let's say me announcing to somebody, there's this thing called cancer, and it is so devastating. What? Cancer? Never forget why they call it cancer, because of the crab, because the way the cancer spread, it was like they had the way it spread. Like, have you ever seen breast cancer that's not treated? No, you don't want to see this. Have you ever seen this? Because normally people have a surgery removed or chemotherapy. Have you ever seen it? It's like this algae or something. What is it? It just takes you over. They didn't know about cancer. They said, "What are you talking about? This is a cancer now." And she and a lot of people, let me get rid of this. She and a lot of people right now are working tirelessly, working with the government, with legislation, with Congress, to do things like duty of care, COSA, and these bills sound, you cannot believe the treachery. Make a long story short, I ask you, because I love you, and you love me, and you've been great, and I want you to love her as well, and love what she's doing. It's Lynn's Warriors. She represents a group of people, a cadre, a consortium, a convocation of some of the greatest people ever, devoted to one thing over. It should be the sexiest story. It should be bigger than, Charlie. I'm sorry. The future of children, the hearts, the minds, the souls, the imagination, the sexuality, the spirit, the life, the happiness, the glow, the autonomy of children. This is subject to debate. We need advocacy. This should be understood. It's Lynn's Warriors. I want you to go to Lynn's Warriors here. And by the way, here, this is her. This is her. Just go there and sign this up. Go to YouTube at Lynn's Warriors, because she can introduce you to there are acts coming up. There are markup bills coming up. There's August. She'll talk about what Cruz is doing and what the president's doing. And it's completely nonpartisan, meaning if somebody's great, she'll tell you. If somebody's not great, she'll tell you. So please do me a favor. It means a lot to me. It's more important. I'm sorry to say this. God, please, Candace, everybody forgive me. It's more important than Charlie. Because Charlie is sad. Charlie was our friend. Charlie's dead. And we're going to get to the bottom of this. But I'm talking about generations of millions of kids, millions who will be also destroyed in terms of their they want their soul. I'm going to leave you with this. You want to talk about satanic? You want to talk about evil? You want to talk about evil? What a child predator wants to do is to rob them of their innocence. That's what attracts them. Is to shatter innocence. To shatter innocence. That's why the new ages of predation are 0 to 2. I'll leave it at that. Because they want to destroy purity. It's like finding that diamond that's flawless. to destroy, to break, to destroy, to corrode, to implode, explode, destroy, it is so vile. You think the devil wants some old guy? No. The devil, Satan, whatever you want to call it, wants young. You always want to go for the young. And not because they're the future, but they have no defense mechanisms. They don't have any immune system. Leave it at that. My friends, we will talk about this today. Thank you so much for indulging me. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your contributions. We'll be back later on today. This is so big. I'm going to be doing this the rest of my day now. And Baron, I want to thank you, but dear God Almighty, how do we do this again? I'm serious. I don't know what to say. In any event, dear friends, I thank you so much for everything that we're doing. Please, 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 please. I thank you. Have a great and a glorious day. We'll see you later. Wow. Remember, the monkey's dead. Show's over. Sue you.